I was stopped and searched by the police for 15 times. Despite I was wearing a neon orange press vest and then have my giant press card on my neck. And then every time I raise my camera, they stop me. What are you doing?
Coming up on British Thought Leaders, Hong Kong journalist Chloe Lowe talks about the freedoms her homeland has lost.
Clapping your hands, was sent to jail for 2 months, wearing a t-shirt with the protest slogan, will sent to jail for 14 months, and you singing Glory to Hong Kong or playing the melody of Glory to Hong Kong, that protest song, was sent to jail for a month. And then you're not singing the Chinese anthem, you also get sent to jail.
Chloe says analysts don't dare to report the truth about China's economy.
They're all saying they're scared of calling the China market bearish or anything because they were worried that they will be targeted.
She asks why Western politicians continue to pin their hopes on the Chinese Communist Party.
No credibility, they are not trustworthy, barbaric, they don't honor any agreements. If they can do that to Hong Kong, why would they honor anything to the rest of the world or any businesses?
Welcome to British Thought Leaders, I'm Lee Hall. Today I'm sitting down with Chloe Lowe, former Bloomberg reporter and Hong Kong campaigner. Chloe, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
So you were in Hong Kong, you were a reporter for Bloomberg, now you're over here in the UK. Can you just tell us briefly your story?
So I worked for Bloomberg for 10 years, and then I was always events project, and then I moved to the newsroom, and then covering all the court cases, national security law court cases, Jimmy Lai court cases, NSL 47. If you know, they arrested all 47 primary elections lawmakers who participated in the primary elections, and then I have been seeing all experience it in the Frontline, seeing the police brutality, obstructing press from reporting on site. And I remember when I was covering the Victoria Park Tenement Massacre Vigil, and then in 2021, and then it was the first time that they used the COVID to shut down the entire Victoria Park. So I was there that night. And then so I remember from the west entrance to the east or whatever, I was stopped and searched by the police for 15 times. Really? Despite I was wearing a neon orange press vest and then have my giant press card on my neck. And then every time I raise my camera, they stop me. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Press? Where is your press badge? Here, I was literally doing that, and then every time I raise my camera, and then they stop me, and then 15 times within an hour. I was talking about, it's not the entire night, and then after that, and then I saw outside the court cases, they would brutally push protester to the wall, and then we're trying to report that, and then they're blocking our cameras. And I was raised in a police family. And I used to be really proud to be part of a police family. My father was a police, my uncle was a police. I used to be proud to be a Royal Hong Kong Police child. And then since 2019, and then I don't recognize this city. I don't recognize these group of so-called police. And to me, they're like licensed thugs, to me, that they are targeting teenagers because most of the protesters at the 2019 unrest, they are younger teenagers on the front line, so they're targeting them. And then after the court cases, when I was on my way home, and then I'm looking at the skyline, I was like, it looks familiar, but I don't recognize this city anymore. It's not the city that I born and raised into. And then until the final draw, I think it was when the minister, education minister or whatever, the chief Education Bureau announced that all the high school student, secondary school student has to be exchanged to the mainland as a mandatory curriculum.
Right.
And then, because I'm a single mom, I have a child, and then I'm like, no, for my children having a mom who covered Jimmy Lai court cases, writing all this story, I'm not gonna send my child to the lion dance. No, my child can't exchange to the mainland. So that's and then the education minister saying no one can have the exception not to go unless they are diagnosed severe illness or they broke their legs. So I either have to hope my child has severe illness or I have to break their legs so that they don't have to be exchanged to the mainland. No, I can't do that. So it's like the time for me. Okay, it's time for me to go. So here I am talking to you.
It's been 10 years since the umbrella movement. When the national security law came in 2020, it felt things can't get much worse. But then we had Article 23 this year. What freedoms have these laws taken away?
Well, first, the NSL, National Security Law in 2020, they have 4 areas: seditious, secession, colluding with foreign forces, and terrorism acts. And then, so it was so vague. Deliberately, it was so vague that people were saying there's no red line because it's a Red Sea, and then no one knows what could be arrested, and then you were seeing them arresting people. They're just basically just doing their job, i.e. Jimmy Lai, being a publisher, being a journalist, arrested. I mentioned earlier NSL 47, all 47 lawmakers. They are basically they hold a primary elections, but then later they are being arrested for holding a primary election. And then the 47, they have teachers, they have union leader, they have law professor, they have lawyer, barrister, all kinds of professions, and every one of them are doing their job. And then they are pro-democracy lawmakers, they're on the opposition. Then of course they are on the opposite to the government. This is how it works, right? And then they're all being arrested. I think there was a lot of independent media were being shut down, and then Stand News, there's another one, media outlet, and then comes, if it's not enough, and then comes Article 23 in March. They pass, and then it basically cut all the loopholes, but it's just cut off the people of Hong Kong to the outside world, all the communications. Because they have now espionage, and then they also have thefts of state secrets, thieves for state secrets. So basically, imagine a pandemic death number, they could deem it as state secrets. Right. If you're a journalist, you're not allowed to report it. If there is a corrupted state leader, this is state secret. You're not allowed. So basically, nothing you can report anymore. Or some scandal in the higher people in power. Well, they can also deem it as state secret.
So we're saying free press is basically a crime now.
It's death, yeah. If you look at the Stand News judgment, they were saying they're convicted as guilty. They found them as guilty because they published an opinion piece that is not in favor of the government. So, and they are seditious publishing. Those are seditious publication. An opinion piece, op-ed. So, yes, if you're not, say, in the favor of the government or saying anything slightly not agree with the government, then you're committing a crime.
For yourself and other Hong Kongers who are over here and criticising what's happening over there, what effect does that have? What risks are you taking?
I can never go back home. I have I've been tipped off a couple of times that don't come back. And we mentioned Article 23. My father cut ties with me on the day that the Article 23 passed. He called me, he messaged me because he is receiving police monthly pension. So he said, your choice of friends and what you're writing is in direct conflict of my police monthly pension. I love China, I love CCP, I love Hong Kong. And then if you chose them over me, then we will stop here. And then I said, the moment I step on the flight, I already make my choice. If I can say what you just said, I don't have to leave. So I miss them a lot, and I can't communicate with them because I don't want to put them at risk. They're still there. I'm here, and as you just mentioned, I have openly criticizing the CCP, and then I'm friends with Benedict Roger, the founder of Hong Kong Watch, people who are being deported from Hong Kong, and or I campaign for Sir Ian Duncan Smith, who are sanctioned by China. So if I go back, I will definitely be colluding with foreign forces, endangering national security, inciting hatred. Each count, maximum is life imprisonment. So I will be at least 3 counts of life imprisonment.
Yeah, don't go back.
So yeah, I have been, my father cut ties, and then none of my friends respond to my message before the law was effective, because it passed, but then a few days later it was ineffective. And then so I tried to share with them, my father cut ties, how ridiculous, and no one responded to my message until today.
They are victims too, right? I mean, they don't really believe the things they're telling you, but they kind of have to if they're in that environment.
Everyone is scared, I think, because, well, they have successfully spread their fears, isn't it? You are seeing thousands of 1,800 more of activists or political prisoners being locked up for doing nothing. Or you are seeing reports that you're clapping your hands, was sent to jail for 2 months, wearing a T-shirt with the protest slogan, will sent to jail for 14 months, and you singing Glory to Hong Kong or playing the melody of Glory to Hong Kong, that protest song, sent to jail for a month. And then you're not singing the Chinese anthem, you also get sent to jail. So everything you do, or you publicly saying the Chinese government is a dictator, or Xi Jinping is a dictator, and then you sent to jail for 14 months, despite you basically telling the fact. And then you see Jimmy Lai, he's risking his life in imprisonment for just being a journalist. So, yeah, the fears is there.
Yeah. 130,000 people have come to the UK on the BNO, British National Overseas Passport. How important has that initiative been?
The BNO passport is important for us because the Hong Kong government now, you know, there are 13 Hong Kong activists that have their bounty on their head. Yeah, so their Hong Kong SAR passport has been cancelled. So if the people who don't have a British national overseas passport, basically they are no document. They have no document to travel. So it is good that some of us have the BNO, or I think most of us have the BNO passport. And then the scheme, the visa scheme, of course, is help us. So there's a pathway for us to escape from the CCP regime. Yeah, so it is very important. And also, we wouldn't be, the Hong Kong government or the CCP, they can't use that as a threat. Like, okay, I'll cancel your travel documents, or I'll cancel your Hong Kong SAR passport. Fine, cancel it. I can still travel. I have my BNO passport. Only you don't recognize us. All other countries recognize. So I think that's it gave us a peace of mind that we don't have to be threatened by them in so many ways.
Yeah. So what impact is that not recognising the BNO having?
we can't get our MPF, the pension fund,
Right.
because I think they're really good at calculating it, because I have £57,000 pension that it was rejected, that I won't be able to withdraw.
So that's yours. That's legally your money until this happened, right?
Yeah, like your pension fund, and then you're supposed to, by law or by all the regulations, there are a couple of things that you can fully withdraw your pension fund. A, you're 65. B, you're permanently leave Hong Kong. But then, in order to prove that you're permanently leave, you have to submit a document for the destination you were there, of documents from proving. So for us in the UK, the only way we prove that we are here is the BNO visa, because they don't recognize the BNO passport. So the BNO visa will become ineligible for that withdrawal. And then for me, just me is 57,000. A friend of mine, she and her husband together is 100,000 something that they can't withdraw. And then all of us are heavily relying on, well, I'm not rich. I don't have a house to sell and then come here to buy a house. I'm basically surviving on a monthly salary. And then last winter, I remember when we just arrived, and then I don't have that money, and I hardly able to pay the heating bill.
Tens of thousands of people are in this situation where they can't access what's basically their kind of life savings. Is the CCP trying to punish people for leaving?
I think they're really insecure, and not only punish, it's threatening. So either, oh, you leave? Yes, that's the punishment, but we didn't do anything wrong, so why we deserve that punishment? But then it's threatened the people who wanted to leave, because it's hard to give up £57,000, isn't it? It's not £57 or 5,700. It's £57,000. And then a lot of people would have a second thought. I was like, okay, that's a lot of money. I can't live without. Never mind. I'll just stay silent. Just put my head down and all that.
If we look at the Sino-British Joint Declaration, it was 97 till 2047, 50 years, nothing should change in Hong Kong. Then we got to 2014 and the Chinese regime basically said, we don't recognise it anymore, we will do whatever we want to do, and despite Westminster still recognising it. What does that tell us about the nature of the Chinese regime?
I thought it said it's all, isn't it? Like, they are no credibility, they are not trustworthy, barbaric, they don't honor any agreements. If they can do that to Hong Kong, why would they honor anything to the rest of the world or any businesses? And I just don't understand how hard it is for the Western country to understand it. It shows to you that if they can just rip off or tear off and in constant ongoing non-compliance, that's the government statement was saying, they're ongoing non-compliant on this agreement, then why would they honor any agreement with anyone else?
So we're seeing the new government talk about building ties with China. Do you think Western politicians are maybe a bit naive to the nature of the CCP?
Naive is a good word, but I remember I asked the new Conservative Party leader at a questions, Kemi Bainok, and then she said complacent.
Right.
That's very accurate. It's complacent. I think I also watched a party donor doing an interview, and then he was saying, oh yeah, if we want them to invest, we couldn't call them out publicly. We have to persuade them to do things in a humanity way. And then I'm like, who do you think you are? You can persuade the CCP. I mean, how complacent, or maybe ignorance, to think you can actually persuade the CCP in some way. But I mean, no, you have to see, there's so many evidence from Tibet, from Xinjiang, and then now Hong Kong. And if that's not enough, you're looking at Taiwan. And then all these issues, and you're still thinking you can persuade them. Why? No. Yes, it's very complacent. And I think it's really need to come to realization that is not maybe you get one or two things that in your favor, and then you think, yeah, see, well, they're totally in our way. We can persuade them. No, it's the CCP. Wake up.
So this has been for decades now the CCP's way of like, you can criticise us in private, but in public you need to be more supportive. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, but they're the second biggest economy, isn't it? Everyone kowtowing to them. No one's want to upset them. And then people, I really don't understand how people can close a blind eye knowing the supply chain, forced labor, Xinjiang, concentration camp. They can just close a blind eye to all of that and is still doing business with them. And it's already reports saying the UN already rules that is a genocide of Uyghurs. And then how could this government, this new government, deny to recognize or using the term genocide or refuse to call China a threat? Why? I really don't know why.
It seems that there's kind of this feeling like China can help save our struggling economy here in Britain. You worked for Bloomberg, the financial experts. How realistic do you think that is?
When I was with Bloomberg, I did a story. It's Hong Kong analysts being silenced after national security law, out of fear of the national security law. So basically, the reports were saying that we spoke to over 30 analysts in covering the Greater China market. They're all saying they're scared of calling the China market bearish or anything because they were worried that they will be targeted. So even the property market is so bad, it's plummet or is a bear market if you look at it, but they will still say it's okay. Is normal mile, and then they would only tell their really close clients or investor in a close circle that what to invest, what not, but will not do anything publicly. So I mean, if you look at, and also if you think the CCP will help you on the economy. Look at Belt and Road Initiative. All these they claim to help all the small countries build the infrastructure, bring a lot of jobs in their country. What it turns out, in reality, is to make all this small country heavily in debt to China, and what's in it for them? Well, then they will vote in favor for China in the UN and in the WHO. That's that. That's the reality.
You've mentioned Jimmy Lai several times. I mean, probably Hong Kong's most famous person at the moment, and also a British citizen. You talked to us a bit about why his case is so important.
He is. I mean, he's a British citizen. He's a devout Catholic, and then him doing well because the press freedom has Hong Kong has always been. People are able to freely speak up, protest all along before 2020 when the national security law imposed. He is the symbol of freedom. He has been the most prominent. He is the equivalent of Alexei Navalny.
Right.
And he is also now in prison. And we're so worried when Navalny all of a sudden unwell and die. And Jimmy Lai has been in prison for since December 2020 in solitary confinement. He's 76. And he was denied to see the British Council. Also, he was rejected from having the sacrament, the Catholic communion. And then it's inhumane to a 76-year-old. He's not any a murderer. All he did was doing his job, publishing the fact, the truth, being a journalist, organizing meeting with foreign diplomats. And one of the accusations that read out in court in his trial was he wants to arrange a meeting with the last governor, Lord Chris Patten. Yeah, and we were like, so what? But then they said that is one of the accusations, that he is colluding with foreign forces. He's a publisher. He's a journalist. Of course, when the protests like this scale happen, you would want to have a meeting to get the view of the last Hong Kong governor. Duh. And yeah, and so he is the symbol of freedom and press freedom and freedom of all aspects in Hong Kong. I mean, the whole world is watching.
I also wanted to ask you about the culture in Hong Kong. It's obviously different from the mainland, even at the most basic level. The Chinese characters are traditional rather than simplified, and Cantonese is spoken rather than Mandarin. But if we look at, say, Tibet or Xinjiang, we can see the CCP trying to basically replace the culture there with a kind of mainland Han culture. Is that happening in Hong Kong as well?
It has been happening. The school, the primary school, secondary school, they are starting to, they will have some Mandarin-only class, or some school will only use Mandarin instead of, so using Mandarin to replace Cantonese. And then a friend of mine who went back to Hong Kong and then was saying, oh, I hear more Cantonese in London than in Hong Kong. And I was like, what? Yes, everywhere. Everyone said, well, when they were walking on the street, everyone speaks Mandarin these days. And then also there's some patriot legislator proposed that to use Mandarin as the official language and to introduce the simplified Chinese into the curriculum or something early on. And then I think I also read something a couple years back, or a tweet or something, was saying one of the patriot lawmaker in Hong Kong proposed that the Christmas or the Western holiday should be removed. The Hong Kong holiday should be in line with the Chinese mainland. And then we were like, it's so done. And I just don't understand why the world just not seeing Hong Kong is no different than any other Chinese cities, and why the Hong Kong ETO office will still be there, the economic and trade offices, HKETO. It shouldn't be around anymore because there's no special privilege in Hong Kong. And then why they still have to be there? They're basically just an office for spying the Hong Kong diaspora.
Why is it important, the kind of keeping of the Hong Kong culture? I mean, that's your culture. What does it mean?
The Hong Konger culture means determinations. We don't give up. And also means freedom, democracy. We value human rights, and these are a liberal culture. And we were brought up in the British system, British education system, and these are our unique culture traditions that we do not identify ourselves as Chinese. I don't have any relative in China. 3 generations, myself, my parents, my grandparents, they're all born in Hong Kong. So we're not Chinese, we're Hong Konger, and that's our spirit. Hong Kong spirits never give up. Look at Jimmy Lai.
Chloe Lowe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.